know what thinking is?
I do. It's that thing we do when we use our brains.
You've got to challenge your brain.
Yeah, and you obviously challenged us to a fight to the death, and you won. Sorry, Chris, you've got thinking confused with wishful thinking. See, thinking involves logic, evidence, and, this pesky little thing we call reality. Wishful thinking, on the other hand, is just believing whatever makes you feel special.
Special Officer Duty reporting.
Yeah, and it's that kind of special, not the good kind. Please subscribe.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. You know what thinking is? Think. Thinking is... See, the brain is an organ.
Do not tell a penis joke. I know what you're thinking, but don't do it. Well, in your case, Chris, I think we've established that thinking isn't thinking about how to make your sentences coherent, but, yeah, the brain's an organ.
Okay? You've got to keep it thinking. Else you're losing.
Nobody move! Drop me brain.
Oh dear, Cece seems to have stumbled upon a profound truth, or at least what he thinks is a profound truth. Now, according to our resident flat earth expert, if you don't actively engage your brain in thinking, your brain will turn into mush. Like those use it or lose it warnings they give you about gym memberships, but for your brain. Now, while I appreciate the sentiment, Chris, I think you've got cause and effect a bit mixed up. See, it's not that not thinking makes you lose the ability to think, it's more like those who lack the ability to think in the first place tend to, well, not think. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, really. Case in point, believing the earth is flat despite mountains of evidence to the contrary. That's not thinking, pal. That's mental atrophy in action.
You got to be thinking about things. You've got to work things out. You've got to challenge your brain.
That sounds exhausting. When do you get time to eat, sleep, or, watch cat videos on the internet? Apparently, those activities reserved for the mentally inferior, the non-thinking masses. But fear not, my fellow sheeple, because I've discovered the secret to effortless brain boosting. It's called... Thank you. Critical thinking. That's right. Instead of just filling your brain with random thoughts, try focusing your mental energy on analysing information, evaluating evidence, and forming your own conclusions based on facts, not fantasy.
Challenge your brain about things that you have learned all of your life.
Classic CC, the challenge your lifelong beliefs gambit. The idea that everything you've ever learned is wrong and only a select few, like our pal CC here, possess the true knowledge.
Bruce Baldwin.
And then question that. I was never proven this. I was never shown this. I was never told this. I was never shown how to do any physics at all. We didn't have much with physics.
And yet you'll quite happily sit there and claim that all of physics is wrong, despite having just admitted that you don't really know anything about physics.
Nice burn, Bob.
We had a very small physics team. There were like 4 or 5 people in it, but we didn't pay attention to them because they were nerds. Remember that? Okay? Now they're multi-billionaires running the world.
The world is run by physicists?
Mwahaha.
Well, I had absolutely no idea. Explains a lot, though, and I suppose I'll just have to believe you because you said it. I mean, that's how it seems to work for flat earthers, so why not me?
Well, not the world. Nah, don't get me wrong here, okay? There are 2 cycles of money here.
Ah, right, so physicists run the world, but don't get you wrong, they don't. Is that what you mean?
All I know is back in the day, we had electric cars in 1920.
Electric cars in 1920? Well, blow me down with a feather. It seems our flat earth friend has stumbled upon a groundbreaking historical revelation. Forget the pyramids. Forget the moon landing. The real conspiracy is that big oil have been suppressing the truth about electric cars for over a century. But yeah, we did have electric cars then, but they were useless. And I'm almost too scared to ask what this has to do with the shape of the Earth. But it is a CC video, so we could literally end up talking about pretty much anything. Because according to Chris, everything is fake. Oh, except for the flat Earth, obviously.
There was a certain particular person who had a lot of stock in gasoline, petrol fuel, fossil fuel. And fossil fuel is fake.
That's a pretty bold claim, CC, especially when you factor in that you're driving a vehicle right now that runs on fossil fuel. Can you elaborate a little?
That name, because they're not from fossils, okay? They're not at all, and we can prove that to you, because the minute they drain all the oil out of one of these little areas that they find a sinkhole or whatever the fuck it is that they get all the oil from, it just all of a sudden magically fills itself.
You know what, CC?
You're a continuing source of inspiration.
You really are, Chris. I mean it sincerely. One frame of one of your videos is all the inspiration I need to make a video about you. But it's not truly refilling. What actually happens is that the oil from surrounding areas migrates through rock pores towards the well. Think of it like squeezing a sponge. The liquid flows from areas of high pressure to low pressure, and water is also present in these rock formations, and as the oil is extracted, water can move in to take its place, which contributes to the impression of refilling.
But anyway, it's something you'll have to look up and research on your own, probably information you won't be able to find.
You know, I saw somebody else say this in a YouTube video, and it's so true, and I can't believe I didn't think of it myself, but CC has just told us to do our own research. But every time a flat earther tells somebody like me to do my own research, all I'm gonna find is things that prove how wrong you are. So it's probably not ideal advice to be giving out if you're a flat earther.
So asleep. They're so done. I was getting into something, I was rolling into something, I forgot what the hell I was talking about. It's lost.
I know what that feels like, Chris. Every time I leave the house, I have to leave a trail of breadcrumbs just so I'd be able to find my way back home.
However, there was something else I wanted to talk to you about, and you know what it was?
No, and neither did you 2 seconds ago. But, seeing as you've suddenly remembered, why don't you go ahead and tell us, Chris?
This is the, up here in New York, or down there in New York, or over there in New York, or wherever the I am, according to where you are, we have lakes.
And I'm really happy for you. But we've got those in Wales too.
Well, you know, I haven't been able to find one that goes on for miles and miles, so I could do, you know, curvature test on that, which there isn't.
You might want to have a chat with Mark Sargent, Chris, because that particular test has already been done, and it didn't go well for flat earthers.
You know, a good one. You know, the ones they have up in Canada, where they did that show, the truck show. They used to drive their truck over the lakes to get to wherever they were going to.
Do you mean Ice Road Truckers? Because if you do, very cool show. I watch it myself. But, again, I've got to ask, how is this helping you prove that the Earth is flat?
Anyway, my point is, when the water freezes over, okay, if there was a bulge, there would be a crack, and our model is 8 inches per mile squared, okay?
You do know that ice isn't perfectly rigid, don't you? It does have some flexibility and can bend slightly to conform to the Earth's curvature if the surface area of the lake that's being frozen is big enough. It would conform. This stuff is so easy to find out.
With that mathematic, there should be a crack every couple of miles.
8 inches per mile squared is a simplified approximation for calculating the drop in height due to the Earth's curvature. And it works okay for short distances, but becomes increasingly inaccurate over larger distances or longer distances. So even if we were to accept the flawed 8 inches formula, it wouldn't necessarily lead to cracks every couple of miles anyway, because as I said earlier, the Earth's curvature is gradual. So even over several miles, the change in height is relatively small compared to the flexibility of the ice.
But there isn't. There's nothing. It's flat as can be. It's the same as Antarctica.
What is? A lake? I don't think so. I know there's some pretty big lakes on Earth, but none of them are that big.
You can look as far as the eye goes. Wow.
Yeah, you can look as far as the eye goes, and
Today is a great day for drivers, man, I'm telling you.
why are you telling us? We were just talking about Antarctica and how far the eye could see, and then we got nothing.
So, I don't see these cracks happening every couple of miles, every few miles, or anything like that.
And I've explained why that is, but now I'm wondering how much time you spend close to frozen lake.
Why is that? Why is that? I guess Earth is just so big, there is no way to measure the curve of the water.
Ah, Chris, way to disappoint the viewers. I honestly thought you'd had an aha moment then, an epiphany if you will, and you had to balls it up with that last bit.
Well, that's impossible because we zoom in on all these boats that are supposedly over the hump, and they're not.
Then where's the rest of this ship, Chris?
The clouds that are above you don't curve.
Well, this feels like a trap. Because I want to say, but clouds aren't water, but clouds are water. So I don't really know what to say. Let's, yeah. Over to you, Chris.
Science, okay? Because science is bullshit. Everything you've learned in school is bullshit. All of it. All your history, everything.
Sounds like you're expressing a lot of distrust towards the established knowledge and institutions there, Chris. I can understand that, even if I don't agree. It's important to question things and think critically, but it's also crucial to base your understanding on evidence and reason. Not Dave Weiss and Eric Duvet. Not Dave Weiss and Eric Douchenozzle.
I'm sorry, I mean it is. Flat Earth proves that.
I don't think Flat Earth proves that science is BS, Chris. I think that Flat Earth wishes science was BS, but it certainly doesn't prove anything.
These rocks that you're looking at, I don't know what they are, but they're not what they say they are.
See, now that is such a stupid thing that you'd only ever hear a Flat Earther saying. I don't know what those rocks are, but I know they're not what they tell us they are. What does that even mean?
These are trees. Oh, here's another genius. Another one, breaking the law on the parkway.
And recording YouTube videos while you're driving on the parkway is perfectly legal, Chris. Is it? No, I've driven on the parkway, and trust me, you do not want to be recording a YouTube video while you should be concentrating on the 15 million lanes of traffic surrounding you. Or at least that's how it felt to me as a driver from the UK. And the steering wheel's on the wrong bloody side of the car.
They can break the law. They can go on these highways and put us all at risk.
Well, you should be good then, Chris, because that's exactly what you do every time you make one of these stupid videos in your car.
Oh, okay, the rays, in which I captured. Just fantastic, absolutely beautiful, and God has created this for us to look at. But we're not supposed to figure everything out.
Now, I don't completely disagree with that. Maybe there are certain things we're better off just not knowing, or certain things that we just will never be able to figure out. But when it comes to Flat Earthers, they have literally not figured out anything.
There are things that we're not allowed to figure out. All right, we're not allowed to have any memory of where we were, how we got here, or how we chose to be here, that memory is lost.
Memory is a complex process, Chris, and it's not always reliable. Our memories can be influenced by emotions, biases. Right, flat earthers? And even suggestions from others, flat earthers. It's possible that some aspects of our past are simply inaccessible to our conscious minds, whether that's due to the limitations of memory or other unknown factors.
You know, yeah, maybe we have deja vu. I don't know really what deja vu is.
Now, deja vu is that eerie sensation where you feel like you've already experienced something, even though you know you haven't. Deja vu is that eerie sensation where you feel like you've already experienced something, even though you haven't. It's like your brain is playing a trick on you, making you feel like you're reliving a moment from the past, but you're really not.
I've had double deja vu. I've said that in a couple of videos.
Well, of course you have.
Fortunately, if it wasn't for social networking, you wouldn't be able to ever know me or ever see me or, contact me or anything like that. So we'll have to give it a plus on that. But in the long run, people are getting so addicted to this.
That they've managed to convince themselves that something as ridiculous as the Earth being flat is true. Did I get it right? Did I?
Even YouTube, when they continue to, you go down this black hole of YouTube, one video is being recommended to you, another video is some stupid videos being recommended to you, but no more flat Earth videos, unfortunately. They're gone.
Then what's this all about? Because you're a flat earther who made a video that you uploaded to YouTube, and then I, who am not a flat earther, was able to really easily find it, and here we are.
And if you do get one, it's going to be maybe 50 or 60 or 75 recommendations down from whatever, and then nobody looks that far. It's just like the internet. When you go to search something on Google or whatever it may be, you're not going to go searching on pages.
Wait, there's pages on Google? I thought you just searched and whatever came up first, that was it.
No way!
Who cares? It doesn't matter right now. This is why I put these videos out. There's just no studying here. There's nothing. I'm just putting my ideas out there for people to understand that they've been lied to.
Shut up, you little bellend.
Welcome back. In today's video, we will dissect delusions, smack down pseudoscience, and have a good laugh while doing it. Today's specimen, a classic from the Flat Earth's Greatest Misses collection, my pal Flatsoid. And his, shall we say, creative interpretation of how sunsets work. So let's crack on, shall we? Please subscribe.
Okay. That's what the globe claims, guys.
Well, I'll take your word for it, pal, because you haven't actually told us what we claim that about.
That's what the globe claims the sun should be. Let me show you where it is.
You still haven't told us where you are, because what you're showing us would vary depending on your location and the time of year, seasons, all that kind of stuff. The kind of stuff that only happens because the Earth is an oblate spheroid tilted on its axis.
122, 23? Oh yeah, I get you.
Well, I'm glad one of us does, because I still haven't got a clue what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And there's the sun.
You know that's due to the magnetic declination. That's why you got to calculate it. You got to keep moving it.
23, 122. It's around about 122, 123, guys.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Right, now I'm still not completely certain where he's headed with this, but I'm sure, like every other flat earther, it'll become as clear as mud really soon. Now, this is just me thinking out loud, but if you get like a laser pointer and you point it at something like at the desk you're stood at, it's really easy to control where that dot is. But then if you go outside and point it at something way off in the distance, suddenly it looks like you can't keep your hands still because of the distance the laser's traveling That kind of, you see where I'm going with this? So isn't that a bit of a flaw for your very accurate measurements, Flatside? You've just pointed your phone in the sun's general direction and you're making some sort of claim about it being in the wrong place, I guess?
No.
So yeah,
Not everybody's perfect, Flats, you know. They're not perfect, you know. They can't get it right all the time.
Well, I agree with you, 100%. And I assume you're talking about people like me, and you're right. We can't get it right all the time, but we still do it a little better than flat earthers because they can't get it right any of the time.
Hey guys, good to see you guys. Yeah, well, this is Sunday Calc, and this is the time of the observation. The globe claimed 118 degrees sunrise. That's the position of the sun from my location.
Ah, right, finally I can see where this is going. Sun and date calculator, the flat earther's favourite tool that they think helps them when all it does is prove. We all know what it does. So your measurements were 2 or 3 degrees different from the 118 degrees that the globe model predicts, and you don't think that that may be down to the method you used? Because the way you measured the sun's degrees is like me trying to measure the distance to the moon by walking 1 foot carefully in front of the other until I get there.
Which was on the rooftop at the place we just saw, where I observed it. And the time was around 5:53 a.m. of sunrise. The odd thing is, look where the sun is on Dayton Calc, 118 degrees as you see. And let me show you more or less where we are actually observed it. I observed it more or less.
Did you hear that? More or less. Now, when you're trying to take accurate measurements, Flatside, more or less doesn't cut it, pal. You need to be precise. Although, that being said, using that logic, I could say that my knob is more or less 10 inches. You know, give or take 7 inches.
I saw it about that position, I would say.
I mean, you can say it as much as you like, but you didn't. You saw it at 118 degrees, as the globe is able to predict and as it's been accurately measured. We aren't like flat earthers. We don't guess these things.
Why is that? Why would it be in that position if it's supposed to be there?
Well, I guess it's just one of life's mysteries, Flatside. Do you know, whenever I hear a flat earther trying to explain something, or more specifically trying to answer a question, this is what it sounds like to me.
What color is a fire truck?
Oh, God, I always get these. Okay, all right, fire truck. Oh, God, I can picture them now, all red and everything.
Let's go there. We were about 122, 123. Let's say around about there. That's where we observed the sun at sunrise. That was where the sun was supposed to be at sunrise. That is a whole 3, 4 or 5 degrees off.
Have you noticed that when Flatside says off, he sounds like a posh old man trying to shoo kids from his garden? Get off my lawn. Yes. Yeah, what the globe claims, blah, 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 whatever, nobody cares. Do me a favour though, Flatside, because I know you'll watch this video as soon as you see yourself in the thumbnail. But can you show me, using your phone, what 3 degrees looks like? Because that was the method you used to measure the degrees of the sun using your phone. So can you do the same thing and show me what 3 degrees of difference would look like? Silly me, I almost forgot. In relation to the size of the Earth.
And then people want to tell me why I don't believe in the globe. Well, simple. Because observation tells me the globe's false.
And is that the main reason? Because what you just said is the Earth is flat because it looks flat to me.
I did this observation a few times. That was like the 4th attempt.
Why did it take 4 attempts? What, you couldn't make it look like it was wrong on the first 3 attempts?
The sunrise was very consistent, about 122, 123 degrees.
Well, which is it? 122 or 123 degrees? You can't have it both ways, pal. You've got to be precise.
This also comes to ask, why do the globers still push the globe as real when you can show observation shows it to be false?
Well, go on then. Or is that what you think you've been doing? Because you haven't shown us anything. Because all the information you're using is based on whether or not your phone was pointed accurately at the sun. This is almost as stupid as Mikey Smith trying to take the sun's temperature.
Damn! Or even the flat earthers that push sun calc as accurate.
But hang on a second, you were using sun calc to prove that the measurements you so accurately took were right, and I don't get it.
I spoke to Nick Chiutakita the other day, and I told him, well, the sun calc is based for the globe, not for the flat earth, so he shouldn't be pushing the sun calc because it's inaccurate.
But what you've just said is, I'm going to show you how to add up 10 plus 10, but the answer will be wrong. But I'm going to go ahead and show you anyway.
So anybody that pushes sun calc as a flat earther has a big red flag in my book.
You know who else has got a big red flag? Turkey.
He's not going to pull Dan McKeegan and doctor this footage up, you know.
Who's Dan McKeegan? Never heard of him.
Well, just so people think it's real, I'm taking extra photos.
Hey, beautiful.
But what's the point in taking photos, Flatside? Photos don't prove anything. They're inadmissible as evidence. Isn't that what flat earthers say about any photos we can provide?
To the left, that would be what the globe claims. See, I'm taking it off. That's where the globe claims, 118, and this is what we observed, 122 degrees southeast.
According to an app on your smartphone which was placed ever so carefully on a table.
That's a golden sun, my friend. Yes,
Golden
it is.
sun, yeah.
Not
There
that
we go,
white,
guys. So it's
whatever the hell that was.
it's about 4 to 5 degrees off of what the globe claims.
45.
Because that's where the globe claims, around about there.
I got
It's
you.
rising.
Do you know, this has got to be one of the stupidest things I've ever seen a flat earther do, and I've seen a lot of different flat earthers do a lot of different stupid things. When was the last time your finger was calibrated for accuracy, Flatside? Come on, really? Nobody is this stupid.
Oh,
That's where
fuck,
globe
4
claims,
to 5.
It's rising.
Right. Do you know, I thought you
You
said
see where this
45
carport
for a
is?
second. I
See
thought
where
you
this
said...
carport is? Just about in the right between the carport and that wall is 180
Right.
degrees southeast.
Got you.
Yeah.
That's where the sun is.
According to your phone and finger, yeah, we get it, Flatside. You don't have to keep highlighting how stupid this is.
And that's what I've been observing for the last, every time we've been up here trying to observe the sunrise. And again, guys, wooden chair. I was even said, someone said I put magnets underneath the wooden chair.
Well, I didn't think that, because that implies that you put some thought into what you did in the first place.
And now that you went and got under the table
guys-
and came back.
Yeah, guys,
right
I
now.
want to just point out something. Look at the difference between how this sun looks and the one at TFE.
Yeah, the one in TFE stayed in the sky for 24 hours, as the globe model predicts. And why suddenly bring up TFE anyway? Do you honestly think that your video proves anything in the first instance? And if it did prove anything, it most definitely wouldn't be that the Antarctic 24-hour sun was faked, because the sun is 3 degrees off from where your finger tells you it should be.
Speak to land, because space ain't listening, yeah.
The fact that you see this airplane sitting at the South Pole tells you that it's not possible.
So you think that the best way to prove that it's impossible for an aeroplane to land at the South Pole is to show photographic proof of an aeroplane that has landed at the South Pole?
Shut up and sit down, you big bald...
Please subscribe.
In this video, I just want to address a couple of issues. There are genuine flat earthers, and then there are those people who want to create confusion.
What is it with South African flat earthers? But I happen to agree with you. There are two kinds of flat earthers. There's the kind who are so gullible they'll believe anything, and then there's the lying kind. You know, people like Dave Weiss and Eric Douchenozzle. And they'll just say whatever they need to keep the grift going, because they're doing it for money.
Show me the money.
So you need to think, are these people confused or they're deliberately creating confusion?
Do you mean like the graphic you were just showing on the screen? This one. The one that says the Earth is flat, but you can see 24-hour sun at Antarctica. Mind games. But that's just not true. So which kind of flat earther does that make you?
So they're going to play mind games with you.
But you're only claiming that they're mind games because you disagree with the things they've said. But the things they've said were all based on the observations they made when they were there for themselves.
Look, if someone says to you, I'm a flat earther, right? The Earth is flat. But you can see a 24-hour sun at Antarctica.
Then they would be a liar. And none of the flat earthers that attended the final experiment said that anyway. Or at least I don't think they did, or I hope they didn't.
Well, they're referring to the Antarctic, where the sun can be viewed across the entire Antarctic from any location at the same time. Well, then there can't be an ice wall.
Then it's lucky there isn't one, isn't it? Have you heard of axial tilt? It's the reason we have seasons and the Antarctic gets extended daylight during its summer. It's not magic. It's science.
Yes, science!
Try tilting a globe and shining a light on it. You'll see exactly the same effect. Or, just look at a diagram of the Earth's orbit. Basic astronomy, not rocket science. Unless you're a flat earther, then maybe it is.
Put everything in perspective. What they're saying is there can't be an ice wall. If there's no ice wall, then the Antarctic must be like a continent that's rotating.
And it is. We've checked. We've taken photographs of it from space and everything. And I was just wondering, how many photographs do you have of the actual flat Earth taken from actual space? Because we got millions.
Then this can't be true, and so the map can't be true, and therefore the Earth can't be flat.
Hang on, if I made a boo-boo here, is this guy even a flat earther? Because those three things are all things that people like me say to flat earthers all the time.
So do you understand?
No, not even a little bit.
They're playing games with you. So they'll say they're flat earthers, but they're just Masonic pimps.
And suddenly everything becomes clear. Did you know that only 55% of the people who watch my videos have bothered to press the subscribe button? What's that all about? Right, so you're obviously talking about the 4 flat earthers that attended the final experiment. And I've said this so many times, but try and make me not say it again. I called this right at the beginning. I said whichever flat earthers attended TFE, they would be cast out by all other flat earthers if they dare to be honest about what they saw down in Antarctica.
They're disrupting your thinking
with the truth.
And as you're trying to put the pieces together, they're disrupting that.
And as far as flat earthers' ability to do puzzles, somebody told me that somebody bought Flatsoid a jigsaw which said 5 years and up, and he was chuffed that it only took him 6 months to finish. So I heard.
This final experiment, when they said that they went there to get some footage of the never-ending sun, right, they went to Narnia, they went to the South Pole that doesn't exist.
And the fact that they all had GPS trackers with them that anybody could look at to verify their location doesn't help you at all.
Narnia and the South Pole are made-up lands.
Narnia, yeah, of course it's made up. But the South Pole, there's people there now. Like real, actual people.
They don't exist.
Yeah, I got that from when you said they aren't real, they don't exist. It's sort of implied when you say that.
They can show you a map. It's just an image. It doesn't make it real.
I completely agree.
Look, they play mind games with you. This mind game starts when you're a young child. You just need to ask the questions. Why didn't your father give you the presents dressed as himself? Why did your father have to dress up like a clown?
Well, based on what you're saying, it seems like you're speaking from personal experience. And I can only speak for myself, but my dad never dressed up as a clown. In fact, he never dressed up as anything. Because I was a good boy and I was always asleep early, ready for Daddy Christmas to come down the chimney.
because that's how Satan operates.
Anybody know a brickie? I need to get my fireplace blocked up. ASAP. Oh no, I don't actually, do I? Because Satan is only a concept which was created by Christian. Yeah, don't worry, forget about it.
His pimps, his Masonic pimps operate in the same way.
Now I think he's saying Masonic pimps, but his South African accents, I don't get along with them. So if any of you watching this now are South African, is he saying Masonic pimps? Because if he is, I'd love to know what a Masonic pimp does.
They play games.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Where do I put my name down? Are they video games, board games? And I've already got the tattoo, look!
Stop and think and ask questions.
Yeah, but make sure they're not really stupid questions. You know, the type flat earthers ask.
Anything that's the truth, they shatter that and disrupt it.
Now, is that tooth or truth? It's so hard to tell with that accent. But why would they be shattering teeth?
So we're going to have a look at Peter and Pete, and I'm going to show you how they deliberately cause disruption.
I'm actually quite relieved, to be honest with you, because I thought he was going to use the Beavis and Butthead of Flat Earth to try and support his position.
Look, they're talking bullshit. They're gonna misdirect you because they're pimps. They're Masonic pimps.
Well, I've got to be honest, I am rather shocked to hear you call 2 other Flat Earthers Masons. I thought that sort of insult was reserved just for people like me.
You must understand that the entire education system, this is how it works. And they just regurgitate the same bullshit.
So are you saying you don't want people educated, or you do? Because if you don't, that would really help the Flat Earth side of this thing, wouldn't it?
So I'm going to listen to Pete and Pete, and I'm going to show you how they create confusion. Where there are issues that are simple.
Well, they'd have to be simple, wouldn't they, for Peter and Pete to be able to follow along?
But then they mix the puzzle pieces up. So let's listen. I'm going to show you exactly what they're doing.
Oh, goody. Sorry.
They've been going out to Union Glacier Camp for years and years and years.
Right, I think I've got it all out of my system now.
Why is it they've just pumped out the video footage now?
There's been video footage of the 24-hour Antarctic sun since... what? I've forgotten his name. You know, the guy. Oh, what's his name? It'll come back to me. Probably at 3 o'clock in the morning when I wake up from an old man pee. But that person whose name I can't remember, Anthony... something or other. Well, he uploaded his first Antarctic time-lapse 18 years ago. It's on YouTube now.
Well, why does a pilot put up videos about things only happen when the time's right? Well, there is that. And things only happen when the time's right. And obviously, it's like a pilot doesn't really care about the shape of the Earth.
Really? That's your dumbass answer. It's excuses.
Well, I'd say it's a pretty standard answer from a flat earther.
The issue is, the 24-hour sun is unique.
In as much that it's completely impossible without the Earth being a globe.
People would have made videos of it and posted it. People who were at the South Pole.
Anthony Powell, he did 18 years ago. He's been there that long. Well, not continuously, obviously, he'd freeze his nips off.
You're looking at a 24-hour sunrise and sunset. You trying to tell me?
Oh, I'm not trying to tell you anything, but I am wondering how the sun sets and stays in the sky for 24 hours.
The people were there because the time wasn't right, according to dumbass Pete and Pete.
Now, while they might indeed be dumbasses, they are right in this instance. You've got to be in Antarctica at the right time of year to witness the 24-hour Antarctic sun. Maybe that's what they mean.
No. They're talking horseshit, and instead this is what we get.
Yeah, a brand new 24-hour time-lapse of the 24-hour Antarctic sun. That's why you're so butthurt in your video.
The thing is, they're rotating around that central point, and yet they weren't about 900 kilometres away from the alleged South Pole, kilometres away from the alleged point in which the Earth rotates. Yeah, so I don't think we don't think Rory's animations actually.
Would God damn it? Are you f***ing with me?
Union Glacier is supposed to be about 1,000 kilometers from the pole. That means that camp is rotating in a circle, right? A circumference of 7,150 kilometers. Therefore, the speed of Union Glacier would be 297.
Hang on a second, so let me get this straight. You're using the circumference of the Earth at the equator to calculate the rotational speed at a latitude much closer to the pole. That's like using the size of a pizza to measure the diameter of a pepperoni slice. You can't just swap distances like that. Of course your speed calculation is going to be wildly inflated if you use a massive equatorial circumference instead of the much smaller circle of latitude at Union Glacier. Basic geometry, people. It's not a conspiracy. And if this is the level of proof you bring into the table, then maybe you should stick the colouring book instead of trying to reinvent physics.
That's the issue. If there was a South Pole, you would not be able to take a time lapse. Why? Your speed would make it impossible.
So you're saying that because Antarctica has 24-hour sunlight in its summer, a South Pole can't exist? That's like saying the existence of the moon proves the Earth is flat. You're conflating two completely unrelated things. The 24-hour sun is due to the axial tilt, while the existence of the South Pole, well, that's just geography. They're not mutually exclusive, pal. It's called science. You might want to look into it. And as for the time-lapse part, there are numerous time-lapse videos of the 24-hour Antarctic sun that have been taken. So you're just plain good old-fashioned wrong about that too.
Right, because they're Masonic pimps. Remember, they don't address issues. Where there's an issue, they're either going to say the speed is relative or gravity. That's going to make the problems go away. So let's deal with the issues.
Yeah, please do, because the further into this video we get, the harder it's getting to understand what the hell you're talking about.
If you at Union Glacier and you're doing a time lapse, what are the issues that you need to deal with?
Well, you'd have to ask Dave McKeegan about that. I wouldn't have a clue, but I'm sure the cold would have been a huge issue for all the electronics they took with them. But you should be looking at the issues you've got, because your graphic that you keep showing on the screen is all completely wrong in relation to what you were talking about.
Here's a motorbike. The motorbike's riding towards this camera. So from the camera's perspective, you would see the motorbike riding towards the camera. If I rotate the camera, right, you'd say, well, it's the same. No, it's not the same. They'd say, no, it's relative. Is that true?
No. And you know how I deduced that what you just said wasn't true? Because you were showing a flat plate rotating. The Earth is not a flat plate. It's an oblate spheroid.
Is it the same for both? No, it's not. What is the speed? Are both these motorbikes traveling the same speed?
Now, I'm so lost at this point, I can't figure out whether he's trying to prove that the Earth is or isn't flat, but that diagram shows us nothing.
Yeah, these dumbasses. Right, they went to Narnia, the South Pole. The fact that you see this airplane sitting at the South Pole tells you that it's not possible.
Hang on a second, I'm going to need to catch up a little. So you think that the best way to prove that it's impossible for an aeroplane to land at the South Pole is to show photographic proof of an aeroplane that has landed at the South Pole?
Right. They couldn't have landed on the moon because the moon's speed is unbelievably fast.
Ah yes, unbelievably. The world's most accurate unit of measuring speed.
So I know they didn't land on the moon because of the moon's speed. It's not possible. I also know that the entire heliocentric model is a load of bullshit.
Big whoop, all flat earthers know that, don't they? Only problem is they're all wrong.
Well, ha ha ha.
Don't forget, if you want to have your say over which videos I cover, there's a form down in the description of this video where you can submit a video for me to react to. That sounded really wordy and overly complicated. There's a form down there, just go and fill it in. Like Steel City JW did with this video, and I'm not sure whether I should be grateful or block him. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you again on Monday. Love you. Bye. So Princess Diana and Mother Teresa arrive at the pearly gates. God is standing there, opens the gates, and Mother Teresa does not look happy. And God says, "What's the matter, Mother Teresa?" And she says, "How come she's got a halo and I haven't? I've devoted my life to helping the poor. All she did was go to cocktail parties and model clothes." And God said, "That's not a halo, it's the steering wheel."
Now to take a slidey toilet seat soaking wet dump.